describe or explain how characters are being transmitted from generation to generation and how those characters behave. After which we saw some terms in genetics that we must, one way or the other, come across them. That's the major words or terms we use in the teaching or explanations of genetics. Am I communicating? Yes. So I want to continue from where we stopped. Yesterday we started with the gene. We've been hearing the word gene. We're able to mention and know the meaning or where the gene comes from, where it's being located by the reproductive organs. And they are one also that tend to carry the hereditary characters when combined have to do with sexual reproduction. From there we saw I think so. Oh, we come across the word character or traits that exhibiting different character or attributes noticed in living organisms and the offspring. So from there we saw the allele fields, whereby we said that the chromosomes they appear in pairs. And in as much as they appear in pairs in organisms, they carry the genes which carry the traits. We said that these allele fields tend to represent the chromosomes of the lobes, and each pair is called allelic pair, and one of them we'll call them alleles. And most times we present them with symbols. Symbols depending the character we are trying to describe. One of the major examples we mentioned yesterday was tallness, whereby we use the word T to represent tallness or tall. In our teachings, both in could be stand for both animals and plants. And from there we looked at haploid. Is that? Oh, phenotypes. We said the phenotype refers to the physical appearances of an individual that we mostly associated with what we inherit from offspring. Then we saw the genotype. That's the sum total of what? Sum total of what? Thank you. After the genotypes, we went to dominant characters. From the dominant characters, we saw the dominant gene, and then the recessive. From there, we went to homozygotes, where we have two alleles of us being similar, shown in the local. And for example, we saw examples where we have the capital TT, or the small tt, or the capital AA, or the small AA. So they are similar, the same. Then we saw heterozygotes, where we have contracting alleles not being the same. And we have capital T and small t, still for tallness. We have capital A and small a, capital B and small b, representing the heterozygotes. And is that what we spoke? Yes. So we're trying to look at the filial generation, what we call the filial generation. we can say that the offspring of parents, or try to explain the offspring of parents, make up the filial generations. The offspring of parents makes up the filial generation. The offspring of parents stands for filial generation. For instance, remember Paul and myself were the parents of Taiwo, and Taiwo and Kainde. So when Paul and myself came up, we had, Taiwo and Kainde. Now Taiwo and Kainde now happen to be our first filial generation. Then to our parents, Taiwo and Kainde is their second filial generation. Am I saying something now? Yes. Meanwhile, myself and Paul were the first filial generation of our parents, while Taiwo and Kainde is the second filial generation of our parents. Am I saying something now? Yes. It's common to say grandpa, grandma, great-grandma. So this represents the first, second filial generations. It also not in all living organisms. But because we are familiar with what it's discussing, so we have to make it clear. So we have first filial, the offsprings of the generations are what we call the first filial generation. Or the offspring of parents is what we call the first filial generation. So depending, like I said, we'll have the first, we'll have the second, we'll have the third. Depending, it can extend like that. Although there are people who have seen their fourth generation, they are still alive too in terms of humans. Plant is many. Like this mango now. If this mango is a human being, you must have seen the 10th filial generation. Am I communicating? So let's continue. What was the last sentence? The offspring of parents makes up the first filial generation. So the first, second, third filial generations of offsprings. The first, second, third, the first, second, and third filial generations of offsprings are known as first filial, second, and third generations. And they are respectively noted by symbol F1, F2, F3. So this means the first filial generation, the second filial generation, the third filial generation. So by the time we start doing some crossing, combining bimeiosis, we now see this. So this stands for the first filial generation, the offspring of the first, the second generation, and the third one. Is that clear? Noted by the symbol of that, and gives rise, the first filial generation gives rise to second filial generation. That is F1 gives rise to F2. Do you understand it? Yes. Do you understand? Yes. You don't, do you? All right. The F1 gives rise to F2 generation. So let's look at another one, hybrid. 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 This is the offspring. This is an offspring, okay, from a crossing, an offspring from a crossing between. This is an offspring from a crossing between parents that are genetically different, but of the same species. Between parents that are genetically different, but of the same species. So the hybrid, once you see hybrid, just know the first thing that will come to your mind is offspring. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Yes, sir. Once you see the word hybrid, the first thing that will register in your head is there. So we said that they come as a crossing between two parents that are genetically different but of the same species. For instance, if we should use AA crossing with, so the offspring of these ones is what we call hybrid, of the same species, but they are genetically different. Is that clear? Alright. So let's look at the other one, hybridization. Yes?
Hybrid
HY. Oh, thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Then the next is hybridization. 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 This is a crossing of two pure contracting characters. The crossing of two pure P-U-R-E contracting characters. They will have monohybridization. So this is a crossing of two pure. This one is pure contracting. This is pure crossing of pure characters. Two pure characters or traits. Crossing, or this involves crossing of two pure characters. Another one is dihybridization. I'm too fast. Where? Hybridization. No, hybridization. Is it the spelling? Contracting. Two pure contracting character. This one is pure character. Pure traits. Pure traits. Two pure traits. This is pure. This is pure homozygotes. Show you? Are you sure? Then the other is dihybridization. This involves the crossing of plants with two pairs of contracting characters. Two pairs. We'll still get there. Another thing we'll be coming across is haploid. Organism has one set of chromosomes. When an organism has one set of chromosomes, when an organism has one set of chromosomes, the next one is diploid. And remember, we'll present this with N. Diploid body cells. Two sets of chromosomes in the body cells. First of all, the bodies of animals and plants are diploid. We know that. The bodies of plants and animals, they are diploid. And diploid number is double. It's double the haploid number of chromosomes. And it is represented by 2N. It's represented by 2N. We have discussed locus before. Which other word can we use for locus? That is plural. Good, location. That is location of the genes in the chromosomes, or genetic in the chromosomes. That is the location of gene in the chromosomes. Other one is test cross. Test cross. This is a crossing of an organism with homozygous recessive organisms. Crossing of an organism with the homozygous recessive organism. The next one would have been mutation. We have come across mutation severally. So there's no need of repeating it and repeating it. I want to believe anybody here wants to say the word mutation and ask to define it. You don't need to think twice. You just use those ones, recessive and so on. Now we're meant to understand that Mendel carried out a lot of research just to prove that characters, similarities and differences noticed in characters is as a result of what is being received from parents, and that has to do with meiosis and reproduction and so on. Then now looking at the work done by Mendel, the work done by Mendel gave Mendel the title of being the father of genetics. Did I say something now? And he did lots of work, more especially from 1822 to 1824. So he carried on a lot of researches using a plant, a garden pea plant, to carry out his research. And that he did between the year, like I said, 2022 to 2084. How many years? That's 62 years. And knowing that Greg Mendel was an patient, or was an Austrian that was found to be a monk living in an Austrasian monastery. That's where he stayed in his life and carried out all this. He was a great scientist. He's one of the greatest scientists who have ever come across. So, as a father of genetics, he carried out his work and formed the foundation of scientific study of heredity and variation. Now, Mendel's experiment, in carrying out his experiment to prove that of a truth, that these differences and characters observed in offspring comes as a result of what was being inherited. Now he decided to use a plant, a green, or let me say, a garden pea plant. Why did Mendel decide to use that plant? There are things he noticed. One, concerning the pea plant can be pollinated by itself. He can as well, in his own experiment, pollinate the pea plant by itself by bringing the gametes to touch each other. You know that when we said self-pollination, those one can pollinate itself separately, and he himself can officially pollinate the garden pea plant. And not only that, these pea plants, the garden pea plant has a very short lifespan. So it is an annual plant and can easily be used to carry out its experiment. Then apart from that, when we look at the features of that plant, you will see among the garden pea plants, some are very tall and some are very short. And apart from that too, you see some of them in terms of their seed and fruit, some are round, some are wrinkled. Now, looking at those features noticed in the green pea plant, he decided to use it, more especially when we said it has a very short lifespan, it's an annual plant, and he can equally pollinate it by bringing the two together. And the plant can as well carry out self-pollination. Am I saying something now? Yes. So in using the garden pea plant to carry out his experiment to show that or perform or prove that most of the characters observed in offspring from the parents is being transferred as a result of transmission by mating the two. So let's look at Mendel's work in genetics. Let's say Mendel's experiments. Mendel's experiments. Gregor Mendel, I believe we know the spelling of Gregor Mendel.
Yes.
Gregor Mendel carried out several experiments on how hereditary characters. Gregor Mendel carried out several experiments on how hereditary characters were transmitted from generation to generation. He carried out several experiments on how hereditary characters were transmitted from generation to generation. So he worked with with a garden pea plant. A garden pear plant, sorry. Is it pea plant? He worked with a garden pea plant. First up, his major aim was to find out the pattern of inheritance. Some seeds were round and others were wrinkled. Some seeds are white and others red. Some flowers are axial or axial. That's the flowers of the pea plant. Some flowers are axial, while others are terminal or terminal, T-E-R-M-I-N-A-L. I'm just giving you.
Can we write green, some are green, some are yellow, and can we still write red and white? Because the two are in terms of
It doesn't matter. This is why he decided to use it. After his experiment, some of the seeds, that's why I use, you see hibiscus flower that have, okay, let me use the common things we eat. Mango. You know we have different species of mango. You have kerosene mango, you have German mango, you have cherry mango. All of them are what? Mango. And German mango is, it's like a lemon color. Cherry mango is green and ripe inside. Then there's another one, pure yellow. Who said China? China mango. Because I said German mango. I'm just using that as an example. So depending on their colors, they can ask you. So he was able, when he noticed this on this plant, he decided to use the plant to carry out his experiments. And the results were wonderful. When he combined only, we'll come across them, don't worry. When he did, he used it for monohybrid and as well as hybrid. And that's one result. He used these experiments to come about with his laws. The first law of Mendel and the second law of, and the first law is said to be, so most of you have read it, or you have done it. You should have asked me to jump. Right? So first law of what? Yes, Independent assortment. So from this thing, this green pea plant, a garden pea plant, he was able to use it to derive his first law and the second law. Did I say something?
Yes.
Can we continue?
Yes.
Do you understand now?
Yes.
Uncle,
Francis.
do you? Yes. I know because when we're talking about, when I was talking about characters that can be transmitted, pleasant, I said if you're listening, you don't say we have characters that can be transmitted in terms of shape. Yes. That's what I'm saying now. I know that was where he was going, but this one is different. The reason why he used this plant in his research to confirm that characters are being transmitted from parents to offspring and what is being seen. But here we're looking at characters that can be transmitted. Am I saying something now?
Yes.
And we'll mention that one will talk about shape or stature, the body stature. Or we'll talk about height and weight. But when it comes to color of the skin, color of the eye, color of the hair, and they ask you to list, and you put color of the hair, color of the eye, color of the skin, and you have told yourself, I've listed the thing requested. You've only written one, and that is color. It is quite different from here. This man was telling you the reason why he decided, he was trying to prove why he said that characters are being transmitted from parents to offspring. And as a result, which the evolutionists could not prove. Somebody was always getting to that, and that is who? Charles Darwin. But he doesn't know how. Now, Gregor Mendel is now trying to tell us how. Did you get that now? And he saw something that can give him a fast answer. After looking around, look at how many years? 1822 to 1884. It wasn't an easy thing. So he must have carried out different experiments until he came across this plant and decided to use it. Because one, it has a short span, large span. Two, it can pollinate itself. Three, he himself can pollinate it. That is by artificial, bringing the two together and watch it develop and see what it is all about. And after doing that, I now noticed too, as they have grown, that this plant, in some of the plants, they have round seed. They have wrinkles to it. You know, you have a lemon. You remember lemon? There are some, yes, lemon that is yellow in color, pure yellow. There are some lemon that is green in color. And there are some lemon, when you see them, they have smooth body. There are some lemon, when you see them, that green one, they have rough body. There are some that are lemon and have lemon color, the skin. And there are some lemon that the skin is green. That doesn't mean it's not mature enough to be used for what you want it to do, what you want to use it for. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So when Mendel carried out his own, he found out that some of this green pea, some of the seeds are round and wrinkled. Some are wrinkled. Some of them are white in terms of the flower. Some are red. That was why I said you have red hibiscus flower and you have white hibiscus flower. You also find out that some of the flowers are what? Are green. Some are yellow. But they are the same species of plants. And this, he decided to use them to carry out his experiments. Is that clear?
Yes.
Are you sure we understand it?
Yes.
Uncle, do you?
Yes.
All right. So let's look at methods used by Mendel in the experiment. There are two major methods Mendel used in this experiment. One is monohybrid inheritance, the other is dihybrid inheritance. So Mendel used two methods in conducting his experiments. Mendel used two methods in conducting his experiments. The methods were grouped into two. One is monohybrid, inheritance, and the other is dihybrid, inheritance. So let's look at monohybrid. Mendel used artificial method to cross two different plants at a time. Mendel used artificial method to cross two different plants at a time, which differed in one pair of contrasting characters, which differed, D-I-F-F-E-R-E-D, in one pair of contrasting characters. Example, he used tall and short plants. He used one short and tall plants. The method is called monohybrid inheritance. Is this the dot side you're using? Huh? Can I clean this? We use all tree and short plants. Remember it to be like this. I've not asked you to write it yet. And it was an example of a complete dominance. I repeat myself. Example, tall and short plants. The procedure was called monohybrid inheritance, and it was an example of complete dominance. D-O-M-I-N-A-S-C-E. First up, he carried out the experiment in the following order. The experiment in the following order. Do I just explain it?
Yes.
We don't need to write it?
Yes.
Okay. But when we get there, we'll write it.
Yes.
So he carried out the experiment by planting the two trees separately. The tall one separate, the short one separate. And the tall one grew, and everything about it was very tall. The short one grew, and everything about it was very short. Did I say something now? So he used two contrasting plants, tall and short. So he planted tall plants, plant for several generations, several times, and he discovered that the plants produce were all tall plants. The second time, he did the same for short one several times. And all the produce were very short. Now he decided, he second proceeded to plant tall plants and short plants together. Then he found out that at different times, but the flowers produce are collected. They collected the pollen grains of the flower produce from both the short and the tall, and artificially he joins them or bring them together. You know, we like call it as artificial simulation. in types of human. So what he did, the flowers came up. So he picked the pollen grain from the tall plants, and he picked those ones from the short. I remember most flowers are hermaphrodites. I must say something now. So he took from the short, the pollen grain from the short, the stigma from the tall, and bring them together. You know, fertilization will take place. That he carried out by himself to get them pollinated. He took the pollen grain of the tall plants, and he took the stigma of the short plants and pollinated them by himself, not allowing them to do that by themselves, and allow them to grow. When the whole thing came up, he found out all of them are tall, but not as tall as the very tall one. Did I say something now? So when he planted, he took from here, bring the two together. All were tall, but not really as tall as the other. Now he decided to put that one that he obtained. What he obtained were all tall plants, and that is the first filial generation. Now he started with. Then he decided to bring. This is when he mixed the tall here. The first one was this. Planted all. Please, this is a parent plant. And this is supposed to be, as I'm bringing this out, it's supposed to be the gamete. You know the way you cross an agric is different from the way you cross in biology. In order to show forth the gametes, to be clear, and for you to fetch your milk, you must circulate. Initially, they will tell you, you can separate them well, but most times students don't do that. So the best thing is to circulate. You can still just bring it down like this. These are the gametes. Am I communicating? That is for several years. And when you cross, please, this shows crossing. You must indicate the crossing. And remember, it is via meiosis. Did I say something? No? Okay. You don't have. So this is crossing, and this is the offspring, and that is the first filial generation. Please, most of the time, you don't circle this. This is a result of the combination of gene that produces this. You only circle this to represent the gametes, because it's the gametes that comes to combine to bring about the offspring. Did I say something wrong? Yes. So this was his first. He used the tall, planted the tall, and planted the short one. So even if we do the short one, it will still give us all. This is all tall, and we still have all short. So he now decided the second thing is to bring the pollen grain of the tall and the stigma of the short and mix them together. What does he have? So this is what he did, where he had decided to pick up the pollen grain from the tall tree and take the stigma from the short plant and pollinate them together by himself. So Mendel then covered the artificial, that's the one, apart from this one we have brought. When he did it, he covered it. So that the reason for covering it, why he did that, to avoid birds coming to pick or suck the nectar. So so there won't be anything assisting in pollinating it by the insects. Did I say something now? Being attracted or going there to help in pollinating it. So that was the reason why. So after some days or weeks, he removed it. What he removed, this is what he saw. He now found out that the tree came out when the fruits and everything came out, or the plant itself. The plants were not as tall as the first tall one, and they are not as short as the other ones. Did I say something now? So they were now found average. But the major thing is that, remember the first one was a pure homozygotes. Homozygotes, tall plants, and homozygous, short plants. Am I saying something now? That is pure monohybrid, both for short and both for. So when the whole thing came up in terms of the offering, we don't have any pure. We don't have anything pure in them, but rather it appeared contrasting. We have two contrasting characters there, and that brings about heterozygotes, all plants. But the major thing, they are not as tall as the parent, as the tall plant, and they're not as short as the short plant. Is that clear? Is that clear? That was his first experiment. So he noticed that he referred to those ones as the first filial generation. And apart from that, when the seeds are formed, or the fruit, you know there's no way the seeds can come without the fruits. So when the fruits are formed, and the seed there, after crossing, he planted the seed now. He planted the seed and have this. Now the second one he did was to cross the first filial, that's the plants, and collected their seed as well and sowed them. That is, sow it inside the soil. And the plants got from there were tall and short together. That's the second filial generation. He took the two. When the seeds were planted, when the seeds came up, he picked them and then used it again. That is a second filial, getting to know the second filial generation. Am I communicating now? So we still bring this is the F1 parent. You still have this. Are you following, please? Are you very sure? Anybody left behind? Now, you start find out that from their second filial generation, after having the first one that they have, we have one tall, real tall, pure. And we have two that are not pure, they are not tall, too tall, they are not too short. And then we have one that is very short, one that is very tall. The two that are not too tall are not short. Is that clear? Now, looking at this, when we talk about the phenotype and the genotype. Here, phenotype, we're looking at physical appearance, isn't it? So this one, now what will you say it is? So, all of them are tall, God bless you. In terms of phenotype, we cannot say very short, we just apply all of them are tall. Now, coming to this one all tall. And if we use the TT, this one all short, pure short. And this one now, we have, in terms of each ratio, or in terms of phenotype, how many is tall here? Three. How many is short here? Now, coming to genetic method, which is the genotype now. How many do we have here? How many is tall? Very tall? Not very tall? Very short? So the genotype will have 1, 2, and 1. When we come to phenotypical ratio in each ratio, and also here, in ratio here, what do we have here? 4 ratio 0, 4 ratio 1. Just 4. That's the phenotype and the genotype is here. Now, when we come here, the phenotype is how many? 3. 1. And the genotype is what? 1 is to 2 and 1 is to 1. And with this thing we did, it came up with this first law of the inheritance. And that is under monohybrid. Is anybody confused? Sorrow now? Are we confused? Remember that what he used was that green garden pea. The pure ones. Tall and short. So those who have won the second filial generation, those have to be the first filial generation. How many more minutes?